Greetings, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body-Culinary, aka Kwasa Peaceful Eating on some of my other platforms. And today, moving it around in the quiet of the day. Of course, I've been up really early, but being very quiet, but also being creative this morning. I really want to send a shout out to one of the subscribers, Uniquely Beautiful 85. She shared with me some music. I'm an avid music lover. I'm very picky about my music too, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. And she sent me this Afro house track, which I adore. Sometimes I don't want to listen to music with lyrics because I'm aware I'm extremely sensitive, and on a basic level, I'm humbled by just how programmable these computers are. Greetings, uniquely beautiful. Thank you so much for that Afro house track. Oh my gosh, I've been vibing to it. I have had it on repeat. So thank you so much. That was a nice gem. I love Afro house, and music can put you in a whole vibe and really catapult you out of stinking thinking, what I like to call it, feeling very stagnant, being paralyzed by your thoughts and not getting into action. So relaxation is important, and also getting into action around what you say your goals for you are. Nobody knows you're there, by yourself. Actually, not getting into action around what we say is important to us, and one of those areas would be health and care of our bodies. It's those are things that will nag us subconsciously because we're out of integrity. In the back of our mind, there's a fear. There's fear of death. There's fear of old age. There's fear of some of the basic fears of not being accepted, of not finding love, or losing love. So a lot of times the paralysis is driven by fear, and I can tell you definitely as a coach. And what works with folks. What I've used, one of my biggest tools is music. And to question your music and your lyrics. There are a lot of things that we hold on to blindly out of tradition or because we grew up with them. But I invite you to examine their literal effects on you. If you find you're circulating with the same people, not to make them wrong, because we are 100 to 1,000% responsible for our own lives. Whatever has happened to us, all we really do have is choice. You may feel like we don't have choice, but that's actually all we do have. Anyway, Sha, you like my little creativity today? I'm liking it. And so I was here being creative, and I was just moving on the vibe. I was vibing on that song, honey, and I was in a whole vibe. I was just loving it. So I just started getting creative with what's around. So I actually don't like the feel. I really realized I don't like the feeling of greasy lips. So sometimes I don't actually need anything on. I find with living foods and living water, my lips are very hydrated, so they feel heavy with stuff on it. From time to time, I play with cocoa butter. Recently, I've tried, just to play with like a natural lip gloss and stuff like that, but it feels kind of greasy. I don't like greasy lips. As well, I like to bite into fresh fruit and vegetables, and I don't want to put plastic on it. However, I'm always going to encourage you not to follow me or anybody else. You can try something on for size, but also these are things psychologically that can really ground you, calm you down, and empower you when you take ownership over finding your own style, lifestyle. I've had some people say, "Oh, I wish I could live your lifestyle." Sometimes I'm like, "What lifestyle?" I'm just making some simple choices about how I want to live my life, and I realize other people may not agree with it. That don't really have nothing to do with me, and it doesn't pay my bills. But just being comfortable and not there's this enticement to keep comparing ourselves with everybody on social media. So if I'm looking at someone else or another woman, or let's say for years I've been looking at the Essence magazine spread, even when I was a young girl, of women that look good for their age. And I've always looked at that, or even if it's in fitness, to see possibilities. But then I also am very clear. I want to picture myself, because sometimes if we go to use our imagination, it can be pretty challenging. It might seem hard to get a picture of yourself in your own mind. We have all of these pictures of other people and what they're doing. It's hard to envision ourselves. Isn't that amazing? I find that amazing that we can't envision ourselves. I would even dare say, this is cocoon, I would dare say that, and this is programming. I'm going to be very real about this. Even when it comes to sensuality, which I'm going to touch on today, which I think is so important to acknowledge that. Even when it comes to sensuality or arousal, there's such an age of on pay, if you know Pig Latin, that somebody else is actually even controlling the narratives for what we think is attractive, right? Isn't it interesting? We can look, which is very primal, at someone's looks, but there's no vetting process if somebody's healthy when we know that someone can have a nice suit on, or women can have a lot of makeup on and we're not taking care of our health. Or some folks can be, I know from the fitness industry, can be buffed up on certain kinds of things and inflamed and swollen, but their reproductive organs are not healthy and they don't have character. So this is an age of, I'm drying some dishes. This is an age of information. This is an age of discernment. There's such a requirement. We need so much discernment. Greetings, Rose. Listen to our work and you're welcome. You are absolutely correct. The vibration and frequency of music. I grew up listening to classical jazz and I prefer instrumentals. Yes. And I love music in general. I have some that are favorites, some not so favorite, but there's some music that puts me in a vibe, a creative vibe. I would even say a sensual vibe. And I want to make a distinction between sexy and sensual. Now we are like inundated with sexy, 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 sexy. But I don't know about you. I don't see any respect in that package with so-called sexy. So that folks could have sexy. You know, when you're younger and you don't have discernment and you're wanting to be like everybody else, you're mimicking the more so-called mature folks around you. You think, oh, sexy, oh, attention, oh, validation, oh, acceptance. Do you see respect and safety anywhere in the package with safety? You're being enticed, I would even say programmed, to put yourself dangerously at risk without thinking. So I don't know about you. As much as I know, I don't play games with addiction, and I don't play games with understanding that this brain, this computer is highly, highly, extremely programmable. And images and subtle, it's a whole branch of science. It is a branch of science, how to get you to elicit behaviors that usually don't have your health in mind. Thank you. And it's my own little skin child. You go in there and look at the picture, see my skin looking like the sidewalk. I'm gonna tell you, maybe this will help somebody out. So today, I was just thinking about, as I was moving around, about casting a spell over yourself. I've grown up very religious. I've done my stint in visiting and trying on for size different types of spiritual practices for many years, going to ashrams, nation, Islam, stayed in Saudi Arabia for, a short bit, just trying things on for size, questioning what I was raised with, and then also exploring and seeing how they made me feel, and also tapping into my own common sense and my discernment over time. So I can respect other people's food choices and their religions, but I really think there's a responsibility, there's a freedom, but also maybe sometimes it might seem like a heaviness that comes with being able to see and to think for yourselves, which is why I encourage you. If you see me eating whole foods, live foods, this is like over 30 something years of my process. Now, I don't think it needs to take people like 30 years. You don't have to with so much information being available to you. But at the same time, your learning curve can be shortened. However, there's a respect for process, right? So we don't put ourselves in harm's way and run around jumping into every and anything, not really taking the time to use our common sense, right? And running into things too quickly. For example, many folks are jumping into water fasts and can actually hurt themselves or psychologically be in a binge and purge cycle, not understanding process or trying frantically to lose weight. And that's a whole nother story. I don't even think we should try to lose weight per se, because your body is intelligent enough to adjust to a natural weight. So if you're having unhealthy weight, right, particularly around your midsection, I'm not talking about your natural shape or your curves, but if you have unhealthy adipose tissue on your body, it's just a reflection of what you've been putting on. Even though most clients will tell me, oh, I've been juicing, and maybe for 2 weeks and 3 weeks, that's great. But if what you've been doing consistently over time is what you have, right? Not condemnation, judgment, and condemnation sense, but using your common sense judgment, what you have is what you've been doing, and not press pause on beating yourself up, because that's going to make things worse. So I want to touch on casting a spell over yourself. Everybody's casting a spell over you. And these brains are highly programmable. So I say, you know what? Why not cast a spell over yourself? So me moving around and dancing around in my house, I am big on casting a spell. Like for me, I like to wear, I'm not big on jewelry. For a long time I took off all jewelry. But if I wear something, I'm looking to create spells all over the place, things that empower me and make me feel good. So I'll wear jewelry only from my bestie, Masani Wearable Art, because I've watched her make her jewelry, like, which is an amazing process. There's someone here in Central America. I love her jewelry, and I like small, dainty things. And then I actually had this cut for myself. I grew up back in the day when they had nameplates and name earrings back in the day. So I really like to celebrate my beauty mark, right? Because I'm not going to drive myself crazy. There's a balance between being free and just not caring, but also I don't think we need to surrender that energy of goddess self-care, of really, like, when you're dancing and you feel like, when you're feeling yourself, you know what I'm saying? You feel right now. I'm feeling myself. I am feeling myself. Got a little blemish, whatever. My body's doing what it does naturally. I'm eating healthy, so I'm not, certain things I'm not worrying about. But I had some stuff creatively, and I was like, you know what? Just in terms of what it represents for me, anointing, the fact that I'm not using. Maybe one day I'll change, but I don't really feel like wearing any styling gel on my hair. I just really want to sit on the throne, the psychological throne that I popped out onto this 3D plane of existence with, which is this cottony fine hair. It's mine. It ain't Valerie June's. It ain't some of the people I admire. This is what I got. You know, it's fine. This is it. So I'm gonna play with it and I'm gonna dress it up. So, by the way, this is my little creative style. This is just me playing and experiencing. Being creative with myself. Even when we go to jobs every day, we're putting flowers, my flowers, might be some herbs out there, but my flowers, my Afro flowers, whatever other herbs, flowers out here. I got some, vanilla flowers up in here, maybe a couple of yellow flowers up in here, but I'm definitely speaking of all flowers, but definitely, obviously, I'm an Afro flower. That's part of my, my incarnation. A lot of our creative energy goes into the jobs we work for. We feel proud to do so. And we're not putting that same energy on us. And I invite you to not let yourself dry up, even if you are abstinent, right? Which I'm all about abstinence, right? And conserve, because I'm not squandering my energy. It's like calories or junk food. I like food that makes me beautiful and makes me feel beautiful. I have my own lingo because that helps me. I don't have to diet. I like feeling beautiful. I like feeling vibrant. So that's what I'm eating for. See how that's not a diet? See, I'm giving y'all some of what's in the cocoon. And I'm not everybody's coach and everybody's trainer. There's a gazillion million people on this planet. Somebody asked me, why aren't there more people on this channel? I don't know. That's not my concern. Whoever I show up for, or we show up, how we cross paths, that's good enough for me. I like quality over quantity. I'm not really focused so much on that. But I'll say, cast a spell over yourself. Find your style. If it's me, usually I like dainty earrings so I can exercise and nothing is holding me back. I don't like my hair to hold me back if I want to move and play. I start dancing around in here in my own space. I'm getting sweaty, and it's a joyous sweat. It's not like I'm dragging my feet to exercise. So I'm saying the words and the lyrics, when we're younger, and even some of us more mature adults, we're looking at these music videos, and there is programming and processing going on here. We're trying to mimic. No offense to Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion, because these are also Afro women. So I'm not here to put them down. I can appreciate what there is to appreciate, or what I can admire. But I can also identify from my own mind healthy boundaries with what doesn't feel right to me, what doesn't feel safe. I'm very cognizant of the fact that a lot of the messaging is creating a climate. It creates a climate where Afro women and girls are not safe. All women and girls, right? But definitely Afro women and girls, we're not safe. And whether we admit it or not, we're contributing, or we're allowing ourselves to be duped in ignorance and just being flippant, get the bag. I don't care, I get mine later for y'all. But we're also contributing in not checking this stuff, right? And I'm not saying squash sensuality. I'm not saying that, right? But we're not writing the narrative. Somebody else that usually doesn't look like me that doesn't have my womb, right, is writing narratives for what is sensual, what's sexy, what's going to be the trend, what I'm going to spend my money on. And I like nice things. Even working in the fitness industry, I've spent a lot of money on really, really nice fitness gear. I've been gifted with a lot from clients. But I remember the last high-end gym that I was working in with clients, and I mean, I could spend like over $100 US on a pair of workout pants that were really, really good quality. But I remember thinking, I'm going to put my own stamp on my stuff. I'm going to create my own line because I think it's very important. Representation matters. And folks, clients, most of my clients were not Afro. I had some, but would always comment on my hair. So there, a lot of times we don't, other than work, we don't get to be intimate in terms of having conversations unless, you have circles of different cultural folks around you. But in the type of work I do as fitness, I got an opportunity to talk and dialogue with so many people from so many different walks of life, and they had curiosity. Actually, it was great. Always a learning experience. But again, I say in the travel industry, in the culinary industry, in the fitness industry, I have never gone anywhere and not gotten compliments. And other than the compliments and validation from outside, from the time I first cut the chemical process. And again, I'm not demonizing anybody's process. That's your business. That's your blah, blah, blah business. But I never felt more beautiful. Sometimes I just want to tell this girl, you just need to cut that stuff off and free yourself. Peach fuzz, Harley thing. One time I cut myself completely bald just to experiment, test the waters, just to see how I would feel. Just like me taking off all my earrings and every drop of jewelry, no mascara, no vegan lip balm. Actually, I did that for years. My clients are like, wow, can we not give you gifts or whatever because you miss all natural? They still gig on me. I don't care. Folks been laughing for years. But it actually retrained my eyes. I retrained my eyes to such a level of appreciation for myself that should I get a scar, an injury, stretch marks from pregnancy, like I literally conscientiously listen to my thoughts and reframe my narrative. And that's part of my take home today. Just cast a spell. Everybody's casting a spell on you. People are sitting down in boardrooms, having meetings. I think they're gonna like this. Let's put this influencer. Let's put Cardi B in this outfit. And the timing, everybody will be home or at the Super Bowl, and they'll all be watching, tuned in. We've got the analytics. This is business. This is strategic. It's premeditated to write the narrative. Afro woman, flowers. This other women too, but I mean, this tremendous trauma that we've gone through for the most of our childhood, our young adult life. We feel anxious, stressed out. Even more importantly, or just as importantly, this usually winds up in us out of desperation and ignorance and confusion without a frame of reference, putting our young selves in harm's way. Let me be more exact. Our reproductive organs, some of the decisions we're making in the younger generation, some of the mistakes that you make, you may not be able to have, as my godfather would say, you start playing in an adult realm, ain't no counterspell. So you can't pull it back in. You can't pull a child. You can't slurp it right back up into your womb. Some of these STDs can leave you with permanent damage or make you more prone to cancer. So clarity is necessary. And I do I'm not going to demonize anybody, but a lot of folks are not having these conversations. Even when I hear some more older, mature adults saying, why these young people this and why, okay, you can be sassy and hard-headed, but no one's having these conversations. Let's stop assuming that people are having these conversations. Everything is taken for granted. And with the amount of, again, if we look at, DMX, there's a lot, okay, he had financial resources and he had access to certain things, but we're acting like human beings are logical creatures. The marketing companies know that we're not logical, that we don't make decisions and spending and actual decisions based on logic, right? Because there's a good amount of the planet that's here unintentionally, unplanned, not called forth to this side of existence with intention and purpose. So I'm just saying, why not cast a spell over yourself? However you want to do it, take your time. Like, again, it's freedom here, and I don't have to worry about jumping in the pool or sweating and rolling on the floor. But then also, and shout out to my UGC goddess Athena, Phyllis, and Broccoli. Shout out to my UGC. Shout out to my ugly girls. Y'all know what that's about. But really an acknowledgement. How it shows up for me is a comprehension, UGC, a comprehension that nice girl, pretty girl, so-called ugly girl, how society and how many folks out here will treat you. And in the end, after the fact, when you're bitter, jaded, upset, you're bitter. So what can we do to write the narrative to change it rather than waiting for government programs, waiting for a savior, waiting. That's why I say, I invite y'all, cast a spell over yourself. And for my men folks, shout out to, I don't know if he's a subscriber, somebody that visited the channel, Jason Thigpen. Really some positive content. I've seen him for some years. I saw one of his videos years ago about him doing some African grooming for men, taking care of his feet. This was years ago. I said, shout out to the brother. Clean, I don't know him personally. You don't know people behind his screen, but clean, positive energy, and has some really comprehensive stuff on business, what to use the internet for in terms of marketing. I hear his children in the background. See, I pay attention to patterns. I listen, I'm detailed. These are superpowers, women. Are we using our superpowers? We're tied into cycles. We notice details. So I notice when folks don't take care of their children, I never hear them. I had one time some man, handsome brother, businessman, artist, pursuing me, but I noticed he never wanted to mention his children. Red flag. You on the internet all day, not doing anything productive. Red flag. You don't have a sense of safety and healthy boundaries. Red flag. You come into my DMs. Red flag. Those immediate disqualifiers. Because social media, this is not a paid for dating site with a vetting process. Vetting process trumps everything else. All your sweet words, and I'm saying shout out, young women, hear me. Hit auntie for a second. Look, you see my ear? Watch this. I'm close. Take your ear and close your ear and turn down the volume. Turn down the volume. Don't listen to people's sweet words. Create healthy boundaries for yourself. Cast a spell over yourself. Because folks is casting a spell on you with their sweet words, enticing music. You're walking past Jimmy Jam or these hip hop stores and you're looking at something in the window. Next thing you know, spend a whole credit card coming out in debt, fantasizing about yourself at a club. This stuff is hypnotic. It's a science. So cast a spell of your own self with your aloe, your shea butter. I am huge into breast massage every day and stomach massage. These are simple things. It don't even take you like 2-3 minutes, but it's essential energy. It's a respect and a veneration for yourself. We keep thinking of health and hygiene as products. I had actually a delicious dish from some raw sweet potatoes yesterday. Whole living sweet potatoes with the living water intact yesterday. And so I was just being creative. And I had the most delicious meal. I was like, dang, this thing sucker tastes almost the texture like tuna. Casting spells over yourself. When you even feel resistant that you don't have the time to prepare healthy food. You don't have the time for a movement practice. Let's put it like, you don't have the time to dance. If you're not careful, you'll be all dried up in here. Dried up. Not just in your womb. Even if you're not active, you're a living, breathing organism. You're not plastic. There's emotions, there's waters, there's juices flowing. Are you stagnant and sitting down? Actually, I'm standing up. So I created my own standing desk here as a deterrent from me sitting in front of the computer all day. Cast a spell over yourself. So I put me some little glitter right down my lines. I was like looking at and just blessing my kinks, these fine kinks, right? My hairline is still intact. It's delicate, but it's intact. So I decided to bless my hairline, right? And sometimes I'll just put on something gold, and I put on a lot of different things there, quote unquote rituals that mean something to me. My sister made this. My sister, my bestie, we both bought these at the African Street Festival years ago. So I have so many wonderful memories, right? Are you charging yourself up with memories? or you're getting all kinds of deposits from scary movies, tragic movies, all of the songs. Much as I love R&B and a lot of our music, everything is cheating, 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 no character. That's constantly ingesting. You think so? We're desensitized to violence, and we don't realize we're ingesting these standards for which we allow ourselves to be treated because it's cute, it's nice, it's funny. Oh, you hear that song? Everything is funny about how we allow ourselves to be treated and the treatment that we accept. Everybody's laughing. Even it's one big old joke. One big old joke. So I am casting a spell on myself. I invite you to do the same from every drop of jewelry. And you may look around your house, right? Maybe this might help some folks with some decluttering, right? Because it's easy to be a prisoner of your stuff, right? And I invite you to question the stuff. Is the stuff, does it have, you know how you buy stuff and you're so excited, you get it home and you don't even like it anymore? That's deep. How many times we do that? You don't have to say nothing to me because you're quiet all by yourself. So it's nice and safe. You don't got to put yourself on the spot. But these are some things to perhaps consider because folks want to go right to the recipes and the workout. And that stuff is great. But there's more for us to uncover and to unpack and to like free ourselves up. So freedom here doesn't mean we walk around looking like a bum. It does, do you feel, are you feeling yourself? Are you feeling yourself? And feeling yourself when you're in your 20s and your 30s, that don't mean you feeling yourself and you run out. I'm feeling myself. Let me go run out there. Let me see who I can call up to put my organs in harm's way. Y'all don't do that. Don't do that. Don't. We're being enticed to equate the essence of ourselves, your emotions, your creativity, to $1. There's not that much money in the world. And I'm not faulting folks. I've seen, some people feel like they have to do certain things to earn money. That's not for me to condemn or to judge. The more I've been on this planet, the more I learn about not judging people. In terms of condemnation, common sense judgment, on fleek, on board. Is that how they say it, on fleek now? Whatever. Activated. I'm from Spidey senses activated. But when it comes to condemnation, I don't know. And the last thing that I want to do is to make somebody feel horrible about their food choices or make them feel horrible about their hair. That's not my job. I'm not here to do that. That's really would be me really projecting my views onto other people. Now, do I prefer natural hair and do I love seeing that expression on Afro women? Absolutely. But I'm also, what am I going to do? Say, Maxine Waters, you're trash because you have a chemical process. No, that's ridiculous. People have other things to offer, and people don't need my judgment. Like, that's a distraction. Why? I just don't need to do that. And I think we've been duped into doing that. And I'm just not interested in it at this point in my life. I'm not participating in that. So I want to invite you to anoint yourself. If that's your breast massage, oiling yourself, take your time in the shower. You're going to run the hot water over yourself. Like, all of these things can calm you down and relax you. Where everybody's trying to sell you $100 perfume, and a lot of it has the essence of like beaver butt. I don't know. Y'all look it up. Some of the natural flavorings and the essences where they're getting some of this stuff from. Even some of the hormones that folks are injecting themselves. I can tell you also from working in the fitness industry. And if we would just take our time and not be so gullible, but I understand where that's coming from. All of these hormones we're injecting. Did anybody ever consider where these hormones, where they're coming from? But y'all do your research. YouTube is out there. So I was going to say the programming, we don't have to leave it in somebody else's hands. Program yourself. Stare at yourself. Go up close. Look at your eyelashes. What do you appreciate about yourself? And are you appreciating your own character? Right? Yesterday, I happened to jump on a live with someone whose channel I really like. There's a few folks I really, really enjoy their channels. And I don't know what jack up her name. I think her name is Haitian. Her Instagram is please leave a message, right? Oh my gosh, she's sharp as a friggin' tack. I love folks that go beyond a meme of giving you some real clarity. And there are a few folks that are my favorites. Southwest Ray is one. Southwest Ray is one. I'm going to tell you. Southwest Ray is UGC. Young girls get it right. I'm going to invite folks. Invest in yourself. You can invest in all these clothes. Invest when it comes to your food, which is really for whole nother kind of 401k. your movement practice first because of how it's going to make you feel, in addition to your health. And then you don't even have to worry about being fit. It's just a benefit. I tell you, I got so many habits that I'm riding off of that I don't even have to think about right now. My body totally responds to water, fresh living foods, and plant foods in particular, and movement, sleep. They make me feel good. They make me feel energetic. That's a whole vibe. But I'm also very humbled. Even I pay attention. See, I like to take stuff for granted. And then having, when you have children, children will point out contradiction, and they're great spiritual teachers because you cannot control them. That's a myth. You can't control them. And when they start telling you stuff about yourself, your children, or you set a tone and you fall off, they can be wonderful little reminders. And we can have a tendency to be very hypocritical or forget that we were their age. So having young people around you could be, a great reminder. So my son has grown up seeing me all the time from the time he popped out the womb with natural hair in so many different styles. Peach fuzz, double strand twist. When he got old, I was cornrowing his hair, twisting. He had locks several times. And I was very intentional. And I feel very good about that. And again, I appreciate all my cousins and other folks when I go to reunions and stuff. So it's only my responsibility to show up just, with whatever my inspiration is. Everybody has a piece to this puzzle. Let me see what folks are saying. Discernment and not judgment. Again, in my world, anybody, see, here's the balance. We live in a world of duality because I think, no offense to folks, religion has made us kind of stupid, kind of stuck on stupid, not using our common sense. We're so emotional and we're like kind of delusional, I would say. Judgment, common sense is good. If somebody is telling me not that I'm not seeing what I'm seeing, because there's a lot of cult activity going on here, and that's real. That is real. Anybody that tells me, man, folks, somebody trying to get into my sacred parts, trying to get into my wallet, my psyche, trying to sell me something, trying to make me overlook my experience, anyone that wants me to suspend my judgment, I look at you like you have four heads. You are suspect. Judgment in terms of condemning other people for their process, that's the distinction I'm making. So judgment, common sense, discernment, 10 thumbs up. But in terms of just condemning people, I don't know, it just kind of doesn't feel right. And I think I'm much more mature. I would even say with the amount of T channels that are out right now, just observing, right? Just observing, not passing condemnation because people are making their money, but I'm just with the music, the rap industry right now, the T channels. It's not, I do see some people using other folks as quote unquote teachable moments. But then like a lot of these folks, they're celebrities, actors, like it's not real. And so when I look at it, it's easy to say that's what they're doing, but we play a role too. Just like we were talking about the government. You can kind of be tricked out of your own sovereignty, right? Your own sovereignty as if you don't matter, right? Because we're being enticed to have an appetite for just dragging people through the mud. There's a difference between accountability and like we're just getting off on dragging each other through the mud. And it's still not a system of internal checks and balances and accountability within our community. You know what I'm saying? So again, I don't have the time to wait for all of that to change. The best that I could do is to enact some healthy boundaries. And I would recommend that for any young man, anybody, male or female. Get some healthy boundaries are a sign of esteem. When you're protecting, when you refuse, see, I got this thing. I like a shortcut. I feel like I think in shortcuts, right? Because I know my grandma Lou didn't waste no time, right? And I love older people because they don't have time for the BS. So they're going to tell you like they see it. They ain't trying to hurt your feelings, but they are, oh, well, they don't know how long they got to be on the planet. So they ain't not really trying to appease you. But if somebody's going to have you put your reproductive, or think about this. This is so crazy, so simple. Put your reproductive organs in harm's way. See, I would like to think I'm a creative parent. I'm the parent auntie that's like, I got something for you. Come over. I'm going to find resources. Now we have the internet of every kind of picture of a disease. People's like, you're going to do it? Yep. Let's look at all the diseases and all their manifestations. Why? Because people in insecurity, they're not going to talk about these things. We can say so-and-so urea. Nobody knows what that looks like. Many men don't know what their prostate is. Many people don't know the different manifestations. People are, so-and-so, all these different STDs. I'm not going to mention all the names. but they can be on your organs, front, back. They can spread to different parts of your body. I wish they would put that at the end of all these music videos. That would help. That would be very helpful, right? Because we're in a fantasy. We're being deluded to fantasy. Even with religion, we're so busy praying, begging and pleading. We don't get into action. And then half of most of the pastors are not healthy, and we don't vet them for their character. Politicians, pastors. So I'm good. I'm sorry. I'm not putting nobody up on no pedestal. Human beings with flaws, actual appetites, all that. Nah. But y'all gotta do what you gotta do. So you're on your own path. You're gonna come to, oh, thank you. See, and this is me, right? And without any foundation, no concealer. So I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. And when I get a blemish every now and then, because I'm eating super healthy, but I can backtrack because I don't have a whole bunch of stuff in my intake. I can backtrack if I'm not getting sleep, if I ate too much nuts or the nuts were unsoaked. Even to the point, if I can notice, because I'm handling fresh food all the time, right, from the farmers, sometimes you read the stuff in books, I realize there's no frame of reference. I can see mold on some of the peanuts on the inside. That's just nature. I can see maggots sometimes or worms in some of the fruit, organic. These are things we're so sanitized, in fancy, brightly lit grocery stores. We're not picking anything off the tree. So we don't have a sight. We don't have a frame of reference, for this stuff. So we're so distracted. Do you have the video on oils for hair care, black oil? I want to wear my natural hair, but have alopecia in my crown. So one of my besties has alopecia, and I'm not, what do you call it, trichnologist in terms of hair specialist, but I can say 30 plus years in the game. And my sister working with her, I'm the researcher, on my sister team. I always got to look for a herb or something. I think we have to look at what kind of alopecia that we have. Is it traction? One of my good folks has, like, how some people pull their eyelashes or have like little things they do to calm themselves down, constantly picks. So sometimes we're picking and destroying, just too much, doing the mostest. We're destroying our hair follicles. It could have been, we could have destroyed some of the hair follicles with chemicals, right? And these are some of the things that I just like to point out to young women. These are things a lot of stuff is not on your radar in your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s. A lot of us, there's no conversations around menopause. Oh, sometimes when I think, and I'm saying, if I'm doing so much good and I'm riding off of good habits, folks, I invite you, with not panic, but with a sense of urgency yesterday, to be about the business, whatever it is, to cultivate a personal movement practice because of how it makes you feel, for flexibility, to stay injury-free, to keep your body open so it doesn't dry up. You want tone? It's not dieting. It's healthy eating. If you are fit per se, safely, because that's accumulative, you don't have to worry so much about your weight. And also, if you're exercising, if you're putting, how can I word this? Substances masquerading as food in your body, and that was one of my things today I wanted to say, that the fake foods are going to dry up your essence. So when I say your essence, they're going to dry up your juice, dry up your water, dry up your vitality. It's going to dry you up. See, I think we understand more consequences as a species. Many men, for example, don't want to work out, don't want to eat healthy. They'll work out before they eat healthy. But when I've had conversations with men, even if they're spending $100, $150 an hour for training, not until they're aware of the consequences on their reproductive organs not working, do you have their attention. Sorry, it just is what it is. Many men wanted to stay fit so they can be with their young wife and spend all of that money, and their stocks and their investments and so on. So we understand consequences. So I'm not here to fight it. If that's what works, so be it. So it's not until we understand consequences, unfortunately, often it's not until, it's going to be about 100 and something today. It's not until we're being wheeled into the emergency room that we're making deals with whatever we call our God that I'm going to change. And as soon as the pain is over, we're right back because we didn't reprogram ourselves, and we also didn't educate ourselves. So I invite you to invest in yourself in education. This could save you time. This can save you years if you take the time to get a foundation. If you take the time to get why. Folks say, you know how many people say, how can I wash myself out? Can I give myself a laxative? So this is 30 years. I can't do that in integrity. Just I'm his, and we all know Senna. We know basic laxatives that you can take, but that's not changing your mindset. I know numerous people have had different types of stomach surgery. Let's just squish it all up. I'm so uncomfortable. I'm gonna die, you know. But guess what? You've lost weight, but now you can't absorb nutrients. See, nobody's gonna tell you about that. You don't absorb nutrients. Your hair might be falling out because you don't absorb protein the same way. And I might have mentioned this the other day. If you research and follow, because now there's YouTube, if you follow some folks that have had surgeries long term because this didn't change, and we want to get out of jail free card, we don't want to go through the process, wind up gaining all that weight back, right? The unhealthy weight, right? Folks don't want to gain weight. I love paradigm shifts because they work. They work. How about you gain weight, muscle weight? As somebody that's competing in fitness, you're not about to get bulky. Not going to happen unless you're taking drugs. Not going to happen. So that's not our concern. We've been so focused on, I want to work out because that's a fantasy. That's a and it's delusional. Nobody's doing that kind of a volume of work. Trust me. And unless you're doing that volume, lifting that amount of weight, you're living in the gym and you're taking drugs, no fear. But you're trying to look young by just taking some protein powders. I don't take one Nanary protein powder. But I do eat enough of a variety of foods. I prefer living foods, but at least whole, unprocessed. I don't think we need the labels. Labels are for distinction and discernment, distinguishing things if you don't want dairy or this or that. I'm not even here to tell people what to do, but the more fresh, whole, unprocessed foods, the better. Eating for beauty. And you can find your way. Also, your values and your core values and education will guide your food choices. See, I didn't even have to say vegan, vegetarian, but I like that as a distinction because I'm very sensitive to violence. Maybe there might be certain things I would eat if I, didn't see worms and parasites and stuff like that. But also, as one of my Japanese friends pointed out to me, one of her elder friends had lived through a war, and she had a response to me talking about violence. My experience was seeing a lot of young men and people taken out by drugs and violence. Her experience was with this older Japanese gentleman that he lived through a war, so he had to eat rats and stuff like that. So I've always found like it humbling to listen to other human beings' experience. We all don't have the same experience. We may not all have the same experience because if we have chocolate, I learn from folks from China, because when a lot of times I don't have no homies and nobody around me is interested in farming or things I'm interested in, fermenting and making kimchi and making miso, I don't have no problems learning from another human being. If we're not leveraging the internet, what are we on here for? Why are we paying the cable bill? Folks don't have a problem with you putting your organs in harm's way. They don't have a problem with you being an alcoholic. Folks don't have a problem with you being a drug addict, right? And we do know that other demographics that have a suit on, they're not stigmatized, for being drug. But just folks don't have a problem sharing their state of mind with you. So I invite you, young folks. I ain't telling no grown folks what to do. That's not my business. I don't kind of one level at this point don't care. Not in I kind of don't care. It's not my business. I take the best and leave the rest. Where we could come together and work together, resonate, jump some double dutch, or do some movement, because everybody's on their own path. That is too much energy. My energy is and my focus. It takes so long sometimes to get a focus. It takes so long to get on a rhythm for you to be protective about your movement, practice, and exercise. So I really don't want to waste it on folks that are not serious or stuff that's going to have me feeling bad. And if I'm going to be feeling away, I want to even leverage that. If I'm paying somebody or coaching someone the money to tell me the truth that I'm uncomfortable about, that's valuable to me. So I value that. So even if I'm going to feel bad, I want to make sure that I leverage it. What'd you say? We accept your advice, Auntie. Been there, done it. Yeah, listen. Listen, nieces. Listen, nephews. Protect your reproductive organs, even should you decide not to have children. These music executives and these folks out here, some just looking like so like crazy, no offense, but strung out drug addicts. Why are we following them? This is like insanity. They're leaders because they got money. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't. So hopefully y'all can save yourself some time on too much protein powder supplements, STD clinics, baby so-and-so drama. And that even is like, it's too much. It's so old because these are little human beings. Do you take a look around, y'all? Do you see the amount of traumatized human beings around here? There's even a study, this one professor was saying, I'm looking at global studies that we are producing. He said a subspecies of young people without emotion. So when I was saying many years ago, I don't support the violent video games. Again, you know, I'm the party pooper, which I'm not. I actually like fun and joy. But I'm like, how are we so immature? See, people don't, hopefully nobody's, people don't mind you being dumb. People don't mind you not reading the instructions. In particular, folks don't mind you not looking forward, right? Got you so thinking on yourself. You're not thinking of when everybody's going to get old. Everybody on this live at some point is going to lay down this coat called the body. Folks don't mind you not knowing like that you're in your immature phase, no judgment, but you're in your immature phase. And at some point when you're ready to contemplate perhaps having a family, that you've done so much damage to yourself. Now your children may be relegated to cycles of generational poverty, and you're just going to be, you know, I'm sure humans don't want to come here on the struggle bus. So they don't mind you being young and ignorant. They don't mind you. Let me tell you, I've been with a black Adonis, honey. I ain't gonna do that. Been around some of the best bodies, beautiful. Nobody is that fine for you to subject your organs to warts, blisters, oozing. Where's that with all the makeup commercials and the perfume to entice somebody? Is anybody talking about that? Maybe just me. Maybe I'm the party pooper. Maybe it's a party pooper. So I'll own that. You don't have to do that, young man. You don't have to do that. It's guys out here fighting and hating each other. You do realize we can't come here without each other, right? Yeah, you do realize. You do realize other folks and cultures, they got the dysfunction too, but they have clarity on the importance of family. And again, you might have alternative families. If you don't have children, you do realize that you can get your mother on by and have that kind of fulfillment. You actually can without the children having to come through your womb right now. You do realize that, right? Or maybe you don't, right? I don't like to assume anything. So all of this stuff, what was originally today, what I was coming on to chat about is casting a spell of your own self. You know, however you want to make yourself up, not make yourself up. Health, for me, is my number one beauty product. So I would like to be jumping double dutch. And maybe I'll learn how to swim at a whole nother level by then. But I want to be active and doing aerial dancing and all that stuff in my 60s and my 70s. And I want to be, I intend to be very active, right? There are a lot of things that you can't even conceive. One time I could never conceive of back pain, right? Until I got my first little injury, not pain, you know, just overdoing it, not listening to my body, right? There are things you're not even thinking of right now. You wonder how people get old and stiff and bent over and they can't stand up. Or you could never probably imagine yourself not having vitality or just not having the energy to get up and go. And that's happening early and earlier. So this, I would say, is your priority is self-care and guarding. You've put so much of an investment. Why squander it on people that don't care? But I do get that too. That's out of desperation, and we're being programmed into desperation. So I invite you. Look forward to your videos. Oh, you're so welcome. All right, hold on. Let me look in these comments today. My biggest obstacle since quitting meat 7 months ago is eating sufficient protein. Okay, I'm gonna tell you how to. See, I'm gonna give y'all some gems. We're not gonna wait for the cocoon. Those folks that haven't experienced the cocoon. By the way, feel free if you want to support the channel. Probably even put that in there. To support the channel, you're welcome to like, comment respectfully. Comment respectfully in the comments. I appreciate your feedback. I post on Body-Culinary on Instagram, Facebook at Kwasa Peaceful Eating. I'm wary of Facebook. I'm understanding more social media. There's so much bum behavior on Facebook. But I do understand. Shout out again to Jason Thigpen for just encouraging us and a confirmation to be very clear on what we are to be using social media for. Yes, there's entertainment. But now, if I have little timers on my screens that alert me to how much time I've been on the computer, and it's not. I love accountability tools, right? Because then you don't have to convince or do a hard sell. If you can look and see you've been spending hours and you didn't get anything for it, so your strategy, you might want to make sure you make a standing desk for yourself. So you're standing up, or you're cutting vegetables, or you're getting something out of it for the time that you're standing hypnotized in front of the screen. Are you learning something? Is this a positive interaction? Even if you leave here with more clarity. Clarity to me is worth its weight in gold. I love clarity. That's why I'm always investing in coaches. I coach and I invest in coaches. I love coaches. Why? Because it shortens my learning curve. And even if I have a certain level of accomplishment, I'm always looking for another level of excellence, right, and development. So worth it. I really want to encourage Afro folks to invest in your personal development, invest in communication skills, and to expand ourselves beyond just religion, right? Because it has its place if that works for you, fine. But it's not communication skills. It's not necessarily insight on processing the intangibles like emotional pain and trauma, which we see being played out in front of us, right? And many of us don't know how to approach it. I don't think DMX knew how to approach it. And when he finally had someone that could assist him, just a whole state. So we can really take home lessons from other people. It's not everything that you need to experience and put yourself in harm's way and off yourself and do damage to yourself, because sometimes we don't recover, especially as women. Let's tell you. I'm feeling very auntie today. Some of the things that you'll expose yourself to being influenced by social media and the hot records, because I'm not a drinker or smoker, but honey, I love to dance. And yes, when I had enough money and I had a job, I used to take myself to the club. My mom was like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I can pay for myself safely in a cab to and from. I don't drink, I don't smoke, but I want to go dance." I would get myself, I had like a nice, cute, big old duffel. It was a suede duffel back in the day. And I would say get a whole bunch, several containers of watermelon and water, and I would go dance to Water on My Knees. So again, thank you, Uniquely Beautiful, for the house music. Love me some house music and and some Afro house. So that's always been very therapeutic for me, dance. But a lot of this music, different music, will have you in the mood, that have you acting in ways, putting yourself in harm's way. This may seem overly simple. You might think, "Oh, not me." Okay, look around. Look around. Guard your loins. Guard not just your loins, your reproductive organs. Also, folks are not telling you about the mental, emotional damage. Everybody's being encouraged, and I get it. I feel for folks, right? I'm not going to condemn some folks, women that feel like, many folks are in the X work now. But if you look at the patterns, many women at some point feel like they got to come out of it. Folks are not telling you about where they are, like how it affects you emotionally. Women, we don't bounce back like that from that stuff, how that affects our esteem or us not feeling worthy. Everything. I get the bag, but what I'm saying is it is on us to get really creative and get about the business of business and being creative with generating an economy, which is why one of my visions is Afronomics and Afroflowernomics. I'm constantly meditating on that, because there has to be something that we creatively can come up with that circulates our dollar, because we have this beauty mark, right? And this is $1 trillion business. It's also deeply connected to our esteem. High esteem, less abortions, less STDs, less HIV, all that from healthy esteem. So there's a connection. So you can do whatever you want to do. I just invite you to consider that this is directly connected to our esteem and the experience that we've had with this, right? The safety. Many of us are not considering fibroids and tumors, which are linked to what we're putting near our precious brain and what we're putting onto our skin. One of my first mentors, which is interesting, people over the years, somebody just said the other day that I look like Queen of Four, which I don't think that we look alike. But yes, several people have asked me if I'm in the book, Safer Woman. So yes, I don't talk about it much, but It's up to you to look in there and see if you can recognize me because my hair wasn't like this. But yes, I'm in there, and she was one of my first mentors, and I got so many gems just quietly working with her over the years. And it's interesting. I think that we have a tendency to put many of our health icons and icons up on the pedestal, kind of like Jesus. And oh my God, I talk about my godparents, my grandmother all the time. My godfather used to give us an assignment on Christmas and Easter for years to study the origins of it and why the church is so packed in Christmas and Easter. If this is not you, leave this right here. And so after all those years of doing that assignment of figuring out what it was, I came to the conclusion, like, oh my gosh, years of doing this assignment, that, we hear all the time that so-and-so, the Savior and his son, died for our sins. And then when I just look at our behavior, so if he took it, most of us are operating like somebody else can pick up the tab for everything I'm not being accountable for. So I really don't have to think about it because it's a get out of jail free card. So I was like, wow, what a setup. What a Jedi mind trick. Many of us are not moving with a sense of accountability, because if you could immediately get a nice jab of a knife in your neck every time you made a decision that put your genitals or somebody, an unborn child, in harm's way, right? And if you could immediately get 20 STDs from being unprotected, I bet you that would stop you in your tracks. I bet you that. If you ate fake food and your face immediately sprouted out with 50 tons of acne, I bet that would put you in check. But you see, we're enticed into fantasy and a lack of accountability. So I realized, like, wow, a lot of things that, and actually I had a business coach that invited me to study McDonald's. And I was like, McDonald's? He's like, yeah, I know you don't eat meat and all of that stuff. He said, I want you to study the business model. See, I've gained so many gems that serve me today from investing in top coaches for a paradigm shift of clarity and realizing somebody with a different result. They may not necessarily be better than me, but they are understanding or have a comprehension of something that I don't know. There's a blind spot somewhere, and I'm willing to pay to have access to that information in order to shorten my learning curve, if that makes sense. So he told me to study McDonald's and the business model, and I think about that to this day, even with YouTube, me starting to put some more time in with YouTube, because you don't make a lot of money off of YouTube. I can't be on here all the time, which is why I got so much content. I do lives because I don't have time to be on the computer all day. But when you look at for the amount of time that I've been on YouTube, like, and you see like, I'm just going to tell you like $14 or 40 something dollars that's going to be taxed. Let's say if you take 30% off of that, I said, wow, my godfather was right. The business model and us staying on social media all day, who's making the money here? The advertisers are making money, right, as they pay for advertising, because the longer we stay on here, then there's some analytics that show all the difference. We got cookies now and things that follow all of our different patterns and who, the quote unquote influencers are. So as you stay here, they're paying big dollars for advertising in order to market a product to you. Isn't that absolutely brilliant? By the time we figure out the game, we'd be so late. So this is a way of expression, of sharing also what I do. Perhaps some information I share maybe can help a young person, but that's about it. But I do understand with social media, many of us are looking for family validation, and also most young Black girls and now young chocolate males, everybody wants to be a model. I thought about that also, young person wanting to be a model. Do you think that that's connected to validation, or not having our fathers perhaps there to have that validation, like safe validation in a safe space? And then when we come into an age of our sexuality or sensuality, being able to express that in the absence of judgment, you perhaps maybe think, but maybe these are just my little meanderings. So the other thing I was going to say too, what was it? Oh, so I think I did touch on it, was that just my humble observation, and maybe it's going to help you folks dieting and struggling with weight loss. Or I invite you to scrap weight loss. There's a better way that feels better, and you can relax. And we'll talk more about that in the cocoon. By the way, anybody that wants to reach out to me, feel free to email me at info@body-culinary.com or leave a message, connect on Body-Culinary, right? So Facebook, all this other media, I do not prefer to correspond with people in my DMs because of the lack of safety and the lack of boundaries. I'm all for establishing, creating, and supporting creating a climate of boundaries. Like, no, you don't do that with young women and girls. I'm not feeling it. It doesn't feel right. I don't like it. That's a quick way for me to turn me off, is to go into Facebook DMs or to act with a sense of familiarity and we don't know each other and I have a protocol. That turns me off. So I appreciate your respect and info in advance. So the other thing I was going to say, what I was saying is that I'm observing that let me just say, I ate flesh, all that for many years. I was a junk food junkie, so yeah, I don't take any of that for granted. The substances, right, I'll call them substances masquerading as food, are going to dry up your womb. We're depositing huge amounts, because something tastes good, you're not going to do it one time. We're depositing it into our arteries. It affects our the receptors, the delicate receptors of our brain, right? There's electricity. We have nociceptors for pain, mechanoreceptors for that sense the environment. If we're in the sand, or if we're walking on the ground, if we're walking in water, we have all these subtleties, these subtle receptors, right? That are communicating all the chemicals from the so-and-so Eatos and the Ingles and all these chips and stuff. They're affecting our receptors. Again, how can I put this? This brain, why are we expecting a high level of brain functioning, optimal functioning, if we're eating substances that are masquerading as food? Does that make sense to you? Think about that for a second, right? So this is the power of programming. We're being enticed, smiling people on packages. We see warm Black families, interracial families. Everybody's just having a grand old time at a glutton fest. And eating all these things that are not food. They're not food. Oh my gosh, I was addicted to barbecue potato chips, every brand. Every brand. I'm not even naming the names. Every brand. I just was turned out. And on cheese doodle. Yeah. One time it was salt and vinegar, but mostly the barbecue. Oh my gosh, I can remember it today. I'm so grateful to have found something else to replace it with, where I don't feel like I have to cheat. And that's huge. Free food used to kill me all the time at an event. I'd be at the table while everybody's on the dance floor. So I'm saying I don't play games with addiction. I'm classically trained as a chef. I have numerous chef friends. So I used to tell my clients, you can't out cheat me on food. You can't do it. The only thing I haven't done is, like, I'm not into bulimia. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not going to do that. I like eating. But I also understand the fixation on food to emote and to process emotions. It's limiting. It's just like with the hair, can be very distracting. If we can get that off the table, if we could just take that off the table, oh my gosh. When you can relax and not have to worry about gaining weight, like, this is me nice and thick, right? This is thickness. This is thickness for me, and I'm not in my 40s. So I don't know if I could even tell y'all those secrets. But I'm eating. It's not that things can't happen, right? But I'm eating for vitality. I'm eating for longevity, right? So does it make sense for me to eat this, right? I mean, eat this dish rag. That doesn't make sense. I'm eating for vitality, for longevity, for my mood. I'm eating for beauty, because I'd rather not wear makeup. Now, you have the option to play and express however you want. I invite you to explore, like, your goddess energy, whatever that is for you when you're feeling yourself. But I can tell you, at the foundation of that is health. So you don't have to be struggling and squishing yourself in a corset. My sister is also, she's an artist and a fitness trainer. She was sharing something with me yesterday, that a very popular trainer was talking about corset wearing. And so, along with a lot of the weave industry, and now more Black women are selling them. And shout outs for folks who are being creative with business. But there's a lot of waist trainers, which are really modern day today corsets. Now, I know in the fitness industry, if I put on my trainer hat, amongst bodybuilders and fitness professionals, there's a lot of back and forth, from different camps on whether they should wear weight training belts at all. And then also you see the men folk that are working for UPS or that lift heavy things wearing a weight belt. So is interesting. So she was really pointing out the physiology of just the whole effects of squishing your organs, right? Squishing, because now we're actually training our organs. Kind of like if you think of the Japanese back in the day had something called foot binding, where women actually had deformities after, that whole period, where they would bind up their feet because it was aesthetically pleasing to have really teeny tiny feet. Well, this is with the aesthetics now. It's almost become a caricature of chocolate women with the teeny weeny waist, with large glutes. We see what that's ended up in, because now you can come off of here, look on YouTube, right? I think I even did a video the other day with some visuals for the women that are trying frantically to get the silicone, the mineral oil, and the different chemicals out of their behind, like laying on a table, like, oh my God, this is so stupid, following other people. Oh my gosh, that's so painful to watch. That's a great example. Great. I think folks, I don't know which video that is, but that's maybe 3 or 4 videos. Check it out while you're decluttering or while you're doing some work. Because every now and then folks say my videos are a little long, but understand I move on a vibe and spirit. So anyway, there's a man, also a young man, also in the video, and he's being very honest and telling you, like, it gets addictive when you start doing things to yourself. I mentioned the other day that even I, as much as I love my natural self, and I was doing fitness competitions with an afro to be an example to the women in my community, my little pink flower, even I considered not getting implants, but maybe I should get a lift. And I'll never forget, like, if you're in certain environments, you are affected. Like if I'm surrounded by fitness competitors and we're looking to go do this show and that show, you are affected by your environment. I remember seeing one of my another competitor. Oh my gosh, this woman, African woman, brilliant, intelligent, like when I say stunning, stunningly African features. I remember her putting this wig on her head for a competition. I was like, I was just blown away. I thought she looked so much more stunning with her natural hair. I mean, to me, she would have took the whole show. But again, when we're trying to fit into certain spaces, it's like we're taking ourselves down to fit into something. And my sister used to tease me and say, like, if for certain physique or bodybuilding, you have to do certain poses, particularly if you're a bodybuilder or if you're a fitness competitor or if you're a physique. Now they have all these different categories. And so she used to tease me, say, turn around. She's like, you like a slave on an auction block. Turn around, show your teeth, nigga. Excuse me, I don't want to say that. Turn around and show your teeth. Crab most muscular, do this pose, that pose. She was like, you look like you're on a slave block. And I was like, that's not true. But actually, when I turned around and I thought about it, in addition to the fact that in a lot of these competitions, they're actually quite expensive. Just like getting a record deal or a basketball player. It's a teeny tiny, less than 1% that are going to place and get sponsorships. Right, which I did realize, but I just wanted to do it for myself with a personal challenge. But you spend on costumes, a lot of costumes, costumes, shoes, food. Oh my gosh, posing coach. It's an expensive sport. So I was like, this is a business, right? Business coach. Look at the money trail. I said, this is actually. It's a fitness combined with a beauty pageant, but a lot of it is for acknowledgement, so not necessarily wrong. And then seeing a lot of eventually to go to different levels, right? Because I was only interested in natural, but I remember having a coach say, naturally, if I touch weights, my body responds to weights like in movement like that. He said, "Would you mind taking a little something?" And he asked me one time if I juice. He said, "So you juice?" I said, yeah, I do carrot, apple. He's like, no. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, what are you talking about? So he was talking about another kind of juice, if you get my drift. He's like, well, would you mind taking a little something? And he had asked me if I would mind trying some meat and stuff like that. And so I remember, that season, I'd say, what the heck? I'm all whittled down and stuff. Let me try. I decided just for the look, just simply for the look, to try. I think I bought a portion of some kind of like lean beef. And just intuitively, I didn't demonize myself because I also don't like to have phobias around food. But intuitively, I did want to do it because I wanted to see what would happen to my body, right? So I got to really see for myself. It's not the beef. I just did not want that in my body. So it didn't matter at some point how muscular I looked. To me, I was like, if I eat enough calories, I can look a certain kind of way just from my training. But there's certain things for me intuitively I just did not want to put in my body. I just couldn't rationalize. I was like, it doesn't matter if I get skinny as a toothpick, which likely will never happen. I just don't want to eat that. So that's when I say your core values will guide your food choices. Otherwise, you could constantly be on a whole stroll, whether that's fitness, whether that's being here on YouTube, hopping from one person to another. That's why I invite you to get quiet and find your own personal style. And just like, how do I want to look and why am I eating what I'm eating? I know for me, violence only in terms of self-defense. Yeah, because I'm not stupid. I'm not going to be some vegan that's sitting here and letting you abuse me, in order to save the planet. That's not going to happen. However, I am very sensitive to violence and the mindset of callousness that comes when we don't have care for creatures. I also know that there's some people that may be practicing what they call the least harm possible. So you'll find what that is for you in your quiet moments. Said level one. Oh my gosh! Thank you so much. So I wanted to say, I think sensuality. Thank you, level one way. I think sensuality for me is much more important, especially as I mature than sexy, right? And somebody's writing the narrative on sexy, and it ain't me. Sensuality is a different kind of feel, and I think it's a space where you're owning yourself. So I can't tell men about. See that now? That's out of my league. I can't tell men about sensuality, but I can say as a woman. And as someone, not knocking anybody else, as a natural born woman, that I love being a woman. I don't think there's anything. There are times to be strong, to stand your ground. But, I'm a woman. I love my natural body parts. I make an effort to celebrate the fact that I have healthy breasts, right? So when I think of I don't even think of actually stuff. And I was, oh my gosh, I was a pizza-holic. I was an everything-aholic. When I think the thought of something cheesy clogging up my breasts and maybe perhaps having to have them be separated from me is no bueno. I've had several cousins pass, family members die from complications of morbid obesity, which was emotional and stress, and the accompanying comorbidities, the other diseases that hang out in packs. So I'm very clear on the suffering, and having worked in a holistic health center and seen so many people what the patterns and the complaints were. Then also working as a personal trainer for many years, I see patterns. So those things also all combine to help keep me very, very clear on the cost. And sometimes I just think, oh my gosh, I wish I could just go back to the neighborhood and tell folks what you can look forward to in terms of pain. If you don't, not looking to scare you, but hey, if you do not invest in your movement practice, you can look forward to your body stiffening up, drying out, depression, a lifelong of very expensive medication. So all that stuff you're working for, all that education, you're going to turn around and give right back to the doctor. There's only so much makeup in the world. There's only so much dieting you can do. That's not sustainable. But finding, who doesn't enjoy fresh fruit? Who doesn't enjoy dragon fruit or kaimito or sweet potato pie coming off the tree in the form of a mamé? There's so many treats to look forward to. I don't have to cheat. I got so many treats that has saved me, because I would say greedy individual, but emotional eater. That I do know, that I can acknowledge emotional eating. Also, living foods has been tremendous in my toolbox. Tremendous, because again, I say you could use habit to your advantage. If we're going to be creatures of habit, right? Why fight it? Why not make it work for you? Like I've said, you put this glass of water where you're going to pass it all the time out of laziness, you most likely pick it up. So make habit work for you. If you, let me save y'all before you get to the cocoon of the other folks, let me save you some time. If the trash ain't in the house, you're less likely to eat it. And if you got to get up like a crackhead or a drug addict and go walk yourself down the street in the middle of the night to get your crack, I think you should. Go get your crack and sit with yourself. See, Shadow, sit with yourself if you want to do that. So you can get clear. Watch, observe yourself. Observe just how much you're on automatic pilot. Observe just education is key. Observe just how much education you got and you're still going off yourself. Observe just how much you know to go protect yourself from exposing yourself. Now we know more about narcissists, but also your reproductive organs to being damaged. And watch if you're still enticed to go out and do it. See, it's a part of the brain and the psyche that is not logical. It's not. Everybody else knows it. And they don't mind us being ignorant and dumb and emotionally triggered and continually putting ourselves in harm's way. Hope this makes sense. Living foods have saved my life. Right. Good. And I'll say even this, just because we can say living food and vegan and transfer that over to being a glutton of nuts and stuff. That's not balanced either. I've done that too. So I think something for us to be mindful of is just jumping on what I call a whole stroll from one thing. I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that, and really not getting to the root of the state of mind we're in when we're consuming, what our mentality is, and what our mood is. That's usually what's driving our behavior, right? To eat a whole bunch of heavy food so we can be passed out with the itis, and even if it's vegan, you know? Or even if we look at right now, our immune systems, right? If we're eating everything is just recreational, that's not necessarily going to help your skin. Okay, it's not flesh. But if everything is fried to death, you take a piece of cauliflower that is anti-cancerous, right? The cruciferous vegetables, and you fry it to, it's not recognizable. So that's why I use the term a lot, living water, the water that is naturally occurring inside the fruits and vegetables. Those are some of the distinctions of whole, living food. You can still recognize it as a food and they have their living water intact. So I hope that answers again for folks that ask me what I mean by living water. When I pick up something like, yes, I think it was a couple of days ago, I picked a carrot out of the garden, right, with the top still on it. And I put it on, because I'm an experimenter, I put it onto the scale. That was almost 1 pound. And the carrot was shooting off into 3 pieces, right? That's just how it grew. That was about 1 pound, right? 1 pound. A lot of that is fiber and water, and it's living water. It has minerals in it. We're taking all these vitamins, but people are not thinking about minerals for the bones. The minerals are just as important as the vitamins, right? And again, this is why I'm the coach and the trainer to encourage you to start cultivating some kind of a garden, growing something, because of the stress relief. You want to be reconnected to nature, even if you're in an apartment. Get some grow lights, rearrange, throw out some stuff so you can let some more sunlight in. You might need to get a light box, I don't know, for depression or wherever part of the country that you're in. So work with the space that you have. Everybody can grow something, I guarantee. I can't tell you legally to grow some stuff on a fire escape, but if you scroll back to my earliest videos, and you can also check out the puppet series, Sister Butterfly and Sister Monkey, that's what I was doing. Because I was determined for many years, there was something it was like to grow my own food. I was like, nobody's going to tell me I can't grow my own food. I was determined at stockings, colanders, or, you know, if you really want to do something, you're going to do it. I mean, folks in prison, they get buff bodies. You know what I'm saying? They get creative. They take and make all kinds of like weights and stuff. So I invite us to expand, right? We're going to think in the positive, right? Because that can also affect our thinking. What can we do? A lot of times we talk about what we're against. Let's focus on what we're for and what we can do. There's enough time. You got 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour to move your body every day. And you can work it into your rituals. These things, as my godmother said to me, I'm going to give it to you. Don't leave your spiritual practices. I'm not talking about religion. Spiritual practices to me is beautifying my space. That's using my plant milk bags, making my juices. That's dancing, getting myself sweaty, being in the garden. Those are spiritual practices. Even going to be intentional to sleep or to take a nap is a spiritual practice, because you're realigning yourself, and then you have the space and the bandwidth to contemplate like what's really important. I don't even know how I got into this whole vibe, but I'm about to get out of here because I definitely have chores to do. So those are the things I wanted to touch on today. Casting a spell over yourself, anointing yourself. Today I was putting kumkum and glitter on myself. I was like, you know, there's no twisting going on. These are very, very loose cornrows, so they're not tight and pulling on my scalp, so I can lay back if I'm doing yoga. I got on my things that mean something to me. The cowrie, which represents the womb and fertility. I've had this for years. I got this with my bestie. Same bestie made this bracelet. She made this bracelet. Got this from the African Street Festival. gold to dress it up. So, there are other things that you can do if you don't want to wear a lot of makeup, so you can feel free. And then you have the option if you want to play. There's no police here. Find your style, what works for you, instead of everybody writing the friggin' narrative on what's beautiful. I say, no, I've just swiped all that stuff. I've swiped it right off the table. I'm taking that off the table. And I understand that many people will treat you ugly. Ugly. They're going to treat you ugly whether you're pretty or not. So once you know that, that's why I have this also in ugly. That's a great tool. I call it a vaccination. Once you get clear about that, no matter how good girl you are, nice girl, whatever, you can be left and abandoned with a baby or a little human being. STDs with your self-esteem, everything all jacked up, and you don't have the motivation to eat healthy. You want some of that? I don't think you want none of that. So aunties, it's going to help you out. And men, folks, guard your loins too. Guard your loins too. You deserve to be treated with respect, and you don't have to settle for mistreatment. We don't need to settle for mistreatment from each other. And probably one of the last things we need to be doing right now is just Xing it up all over the place, because I don't observe intimacy and I don't observe respect for each other or for just the act of engaging. There's not any intimacy right now. We're being enticed to use each other like dirty toilet paper and toss it in the garbage. And that is going to affect your esteem, males and females. So I know these rap videos got you, everybody thinking that you're a pimp, but they're not going to be there when you're in jail and you have to go to the clinic. And you really have to live in the back of your mind with knowing that you are irresponsible with somebody's womb, or that you off several possible human beings that could be here. So, maybe good birth control could be education, and it's not worth it. Yeah, we could be doing athletics and coming up with new ideas and all kind of other stuff. People are enticing you to be a doggone fool out here and to squander your precious focus and your precious life force energy, and to squander the potential legacy of future generations, and be mindful that some of the greatest influences on me, my godparents, I didn't come through their womb. My grandmother, she didn't have children. But when I tell you, she's the epitome of a mother, and she's had that effect, I think, probably on hundreds of children and people. Like when I tell you, oh my gosh, I could never stop thanking her for being a godfather and a godmother to me. So I invite you to consider getting yourself in order and clean and living your purpose, and extending that some kind of care, of African dance class or some esteem, and being an example. I was watching my godmother like a hawk. I never saw her settle in her relationships. I never saw her settle. And I really needed to see that. I needed to see somebody that she wasn't bitter, angry. She didn't take no crap, but just joyous and giving. Oh my gosh. Standard. She has set the bar for me. She has set the bar for me. So I invite you all to think of that, and also think that that can also be fulfilling to you, right? To get your parent or your mommy or your dad, that parenting, that nurturing and protective energy on. And, men, folks, your mothers, sisters, and aunties and children do need protection out here. You have a purpose, and it's not just your loins, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm about to hop off of here. Y'all create a great day on purpose. Love and way. Thank you so much, Rosebell. And it's good to hear living food save your life. And if you don't want to diet, I'm doing pretty good. This is me not doing. This is me in my little thickness over here. This is me in my little thickness. So this is me hardly doing anything, although I do lead an active lifestyle, which you'll see, because I experiment. I address a lot of fears, right? I like to take the phobias off the table. I like to challenge what's out there, fruitarian. I try to everything for size, so I can find where I'm grounded, so I don't have to diet, and that's a good feeling. I also don't play games if I know I'm still mindful. I'm emotionally eating. I'm watching my body responds to salt. So that's why I also encourage here relaxation and listening to your body, listening to your skin. Sometimes we don't want to have anything on our hair and our nails because your body is communicating with you. I can see like my body will drop water. Like I would have to say so. I don't want to get people twisted up because we start following each other. Right? But could drop like probably 5 pounds of water because I'm a water retainer. If I sit down, if I eat too much, even sea salt. So these are things when you're following all of these people are not going to tell you this, and they may not be able to discern it. So my body's like my mind is like a calculator. I've been so many years in personal training and fitness, vegan, vegetarian chef, professional chef, in a restaurant, one of the top restaurants, external, you know. So I got so much information here. I feel very, very grounded. I don't feel like I have to fluctuate all over the place, right? I feel grounded, right? And I'm not interested in dieting. It's very freeing. Just like your hair is freeing, it's freeing where you can find a lifestyle that you can live with. Most likely you will invest in some kind of education, but it just takes so much stuff off the table. It's one thing for me to say, here, let's just buy 20 more makeup palettes. You can only wear makeup for so long. And I'm not demonizing makeup. Find whatever your goddess energy is. You'll know what that is. But I like to be free. I prioritize play, sweat, the garden, traveling, and having a lot of fun. And I don't want anything holding me back. All right, y'all. So y'all create a great day on purpose. Check out Kwasa Peaceful Eating on TikTok. Check out the puppet series on this channel. 10 teeny tiny little episodes. Sister Butterfly and Sister Monkey Learn to Eat Better. There's a webinar, Healthy Eating for Men. You have access to that on BodyCulinary.com. If you want a laser insight, the quick shortcut to what I've been doing and my whole mindset around food, that guide is online. That's Whole Living Foods in the Hood. That's downloadable. Natural Beauty, no products. So that's right before I locked my hair, right? I would actually wear a lot of the same styles I wore as a loose natural with very fine hair. So I had thrown away my shower caddy and decided I would spend all this money on buying food at the co-op, the farmer's market, and at the wholesaler, hint, hint, that I decided to, why am I spending all this money on these products? I could just put this stuff I'm eating. I might as well put it on my face. So that's Natural Beauty, no products. There's food preservation and preparedness for an emergency. And then also a lot of the habits that I have during the course of the year. I didn't really have much to do in terms of this pandemic. And I think it's a good lifestyle. And it could also, you'll be very healthy once you learn how to manipulate the whole fresh ingredients. Those things will keep you so grounded. And then you have now something, like I sat down at the table with my grandma Lou grating that coconut. Now you can have some other young women, young men sitting down right next to you, and we are transmitting that culture, right? I think that I'm very passionate about that. The ways and reactivating the ways of the mothers and the grandmothers. So these next generations, you know, you can recognize measles, mumps, chicken pox, yeast infection, your body's response to this, what to give your sons, what kind of nutrition is in each food. To me, that is an art, and that is our culture. All right, I'm out of here. See, so share the video with somebody that could benefit and watch while you're decluttering. See you soon.